February 2026, Iowa's agricultural economy just collapsed by 38% in a single year. Not a recession, not a downturn. A complete structural collapse. The state's entire farm sector contracted by over 1/3 in 12 months. Iowa's total agricultural revenue fell from $32 billion in 2024 to $19.8 billion in 2025. That's $12.2 billion in economic destruction, the steepest one-year decline in Iowa agricultural history, and it connects directly to crop price crashes that destroyed farmer income across every county in the state. Corn prices crashed, soybean prices collapsed, cattle prices weakened, hog prices declined, dairy revenue dropped. Every major Iowa commodity hit simultaneously. This isn't affecting some farmers. This is devastating the entire state. Rural communities, small towns, agricultural suppliers, equipment dealers, grain elevators, processors, everything connected to Iowa, agriculture is collapsing. The 38% collapse. The Iowa Farm Bureau released the analysis February 5th, 2026. They calculated total agricultural revenue across all Iowa counties for 2025. Compared it to 2024, the decline was catastrophic. Agricultural revenue down 38%. Over 1/3 of Iowa's farm economy disappeared in 1 year. Break that down by sector. Corn and soybean revenue, which represents over 60% of Iowa agriculture, declined by 42%. Livestock revenue down 31%. Dairy down 35%. Every sector hit, every region affected. No part of Iowa agriculture survived 2025 intact. Mike Naig, Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, addressed the report directly. This is the most severe agricultural economic crisis Iowa has faced since the 1980s. We're seeing generational farms that survived every previous downturn unable to survive this one. The price crashes tell the story. The dealer closures. Farm equipment dealers are dying across Iowa. When farmers lose money, they don't buy equipment. When they don't buy equipment, dealers close. John Deere dealerships across Iowa closed multiple locations in late 2025 and early 2026. Case IH dealers consolidated. AGCO dealers reduced staff or shut down entirely. Legacy Equipment announced closure of 4 Iowa locations. Combined job losses over 140 positions. Mechanics, parts specialists, salespeople, service technicians, all unemployed. These weren't struggling dealerships. These were established businesses serving Iowa farmers for decades. The 38% agricultural collapse made their business model impossible. Steve Williams managed a John Deere dealership in northwest Iowa for 22 years. The dealership closed in January 2026. We sold 40 tractors in 2024. In 2025, we sold 9. We had 27 employees. By December, we were down to 14. January, corporate told us they're closing the location. 22 years serving Iowa farmers. Gone because nobody can afford equipment anymore. The bankruptcy wave. Chapter 12. Farm bankruptcies surged across Iowa in 2025 and continue accelerating in early 2026. Bankruptcy filings increased over 60% in 2025. Compared to 2024. The first weeks of 2026 are tracking at even higher rates. These aren't marginal operations. These are commercial farms, well-managed operations, families that farmed successfully for generations. Joel Hargis, a bankruptcy attorney in Jonesboro, handles farm cases across eastern Iowa. I've never seen anything like this. Farm after farm filing bankruptcy. Operations that were profitable for decades. Good farmers, sound management, they can't survive a 38% economic collapse. Nobody could. The bankruptcies create a cascade effect. When farms file bankruptcy, they auction equipment. Flooded equipment markets depress values. Other farmers watching their equipment equity disappear, making their financial situations worse. Banks holding farm loans see portfolios deteriorate. Loan delinquencies hit the highest levels since the 1980s. Banks respond by cutting credit, refusing to extend operating loans, calling loans early, making the crisis worse. The federal silence Iowa. Farmers expected federal response to a 38% agricultural economic collapse, emergency assistance, disaster declarations, trade mitigation payments, direct support. They received nothing. The USDA acknowledged the crisis in statements, talked about challenging conditions and market difficulties, but provided no programs addressing the scale of losses. Congress held hearings. Iowa farmers testified. Data was presented. Documentation provided. The 38% collapse is not disputed. It's confirmed by every economic analysis. No legislation passed. No emergency funding authorized. No assistance programs created. Iowa's congressional delegation expressed frustration. Senator Joni Ernst called the lack of federal response unacceptable and abandonment of Iowa agriculture. Still no action. Iowa farmers are absorbing a 38% economic collapse without federal support. The planting season. Crisis: we're approaching March 2026. Planting season for Iowa crops, and farmers face impossible decisions. Do you plant corn when prices are at multi-year lows? Do you plant soybeans when export markets are gone? Do you commit money to inputs knowing you'll probably lose money? Many Iowa farmers are choosing to plant fewer acres, reducing corn acreage, cutting soybean acres, leaving land fallow rather than farming at a loss. Tom Richardson is reducing planted acres from 2,400 to 1,850 in 2026. I can't afford to lose money on all my acres. Corn prices are terrible. Soybean prices are worse. I'm farming less and hoping that limits my losses. When planted acreage declines across Iowa, it compounds the economic collapse. Less seed purchased, less fertilizer applied, fewer inputs bought. Agricultural suppliers lose more revenue. The death spiral accelerates. The community collapse. Small Iowa towns are dying. When agriculture collapses 38%, communities can't survive. Schools losing enrollment as families leave. Hospitals struggling financially. Main Street businesses closing permanently. Young people moving to cities. Population decline accelerating. Towns that survived every previous agricultural crisis are disappearing in 2025 to 2026, not slowly over decades, rapidly over months. A town in northwest Iowa lost its grocery store, farm supply store, and 2 restaurants in 2025. The school is consolidating with a neighboring district. The hospital announced service reductions. The mayor addressed the town council in December 2025. When farm income drops 38%, our town can't function. The tax base is gone. Businesses are closing. People are leaving. I don't know if we'll exist as a community in 5 years. That conversation is happening in dozens of small Iowa towns. Agricultural collapse means community death. The final truth. Somewhere tonight, an Iowa corn farmer is looking at corn selling for $3.28 per bushel and doing math that doesn't work, knowing they can't survive another year of prices this low, knowing the 38% collapse destroyed any chance of profitability. Somewhere tonight, an Iowa small business owner is calculating whether to close permanently. Farm income down 38% means their customer base disappeared. There's no path forward when agriculture collapses. Somewhere tonight, a family is packing to leave the small Iowa town they've lived in for generations. The farm filed bankruptcy. The jobs disappeared. The community is dying. There's nothing left to stay for. Iowa agriculture collapsed 38% in 2025, the steepest one-year decline in state history. Crop prices crashed. Farmer income disappeared. Rural communities are dying. This isn't a temporary downturn. This is structural collapse. And without intervention, Iowa agriculture won't recover. Leave a comment below. Can Iowa agriculture survive a 38% economic collapse? And hit subscribe because this crisis is continuing. The collapse isn't over.